What's up, everybody? Cameron Hawkins here from DualShockers.com, and today I am here to talk about the Xbox Series S. Yes, I've been playing through the Xbox Series S for about a week now. I got it at launch, and I am reviewing it for the site. And I wanted to do a video similar to Logan Moore on the Xbox Series X, discussing my thoughts on the Xbox Series S. And the first thing I wanted to talk about was the controller. So the new Xbox controller is surprisingly significant improvement to the Xbox One. You know, when I first saw like pictures and like what they were kind of showing off of what the controller was, I really didn't think much of it. I was just like, oh, okay, so there's like a share button and that's basically it. But no, it's actually much more upgraded than that, and I'm really impressed by it. So as I said before, the controller comes with a new share button. You press it once to take a screenshot, and you hold it to do a video clip. The thing that is unfortunate about this, though, is that if you do use this controller, the console recognizes it, so you can't do a screenshot or a video clip the same way you could back on the Xbox One, where you had to hold the guide button and then you pressed X or Y depending on whether or not you wanted a screenshot or a video clip. To me, it just kind of, I understand that this is definitely much more simpler, but it would have been nice to have both options just in case. Like, I don't see why not put it, like, you know, why not have it as an option? But, that's one little gripe I have about it. The D-pad has been significantly upgraded. It's really clicky, really nice to press and feel. I really enjoy it. The back has texturized grips right here, and the triggers have texturized grips as well. And the triggers are also a little bit smaller now, but I really like them. And then the shoulder buttons have a matte finish now, and also feel really great to press. Overall, this controller, like, it feels great in my hand. I really love it. Honestly, outside of the adaptive triggers feature of the original Xbox Elite controller, I think that this is pretty on par with this controller. I think the grips feel better on the new controller. I think that the shoulder buttons are better. I think the D-pad is better. It's much more D-pad's pretty close, but, like, they're pretty equal. I think that they're really on par with each other, but I still don't think it's anywhere on the level of the Xbox Elite Series 2. This is still, like, in my opinion, the best controller ever made. So that's about the controller. The next thing I want to talk about is the storage. So the Xbox Series S is equipped with a 512 gigabyte solid state drive, but when you actually end up booting up the console, you will realize that there's only 364 gigabytes able to use for games and apps and things like that. So that's obviously really small. And the thing that I wanted to talk about is, like, the options on what you can do regarding that. Obviously, for when it comes to the SSD, the only way to expand on that is to get the Seagate 1 terabyte SSD expansion card, which is $220. It's really expensive, but coming from someone who was worried about purchasing this myself, I already do not regret my purchase. Like, this is worth it. It's worth it. I know it's expensive, but, like, I honestly don't think that this is going to go down in price at all anytime soon. And I think it's really worth it, especially if you have a Series X and a Series S in your household like I do. So that is the option to expand the SSD to take advantage of those load times and all that good stuff. If not, then you're just going to have to install and reinstall and uninstall your games as you go by. But another thing worth mentioning is that you can download any Xbox Series X or S games onto a normal external hard drive, but you can't play them if they're installed there. You have to move them over later. But at the very least, that gives you, they're already installed. You can move them, and then you're ready to go. So for external hard drives, I recommend the Xbox Seagate Game Pass Edition hard drive. It's 4 terabytes. I paid maybe a little over $100 for it, and it also comes with 2 months of Game Pass as well, which is really cool. So that is also an option for your external hard drive, and you can also store your Xbox One games, your backwards compatible Xbox 360 and OG Xbox games as well, for if your expansion is full and you don't really care about those games taking advantage of the faster load times. So that's how I really feel about the storage. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is particularly just who is the prime market for this console. and I think that there's a few like groups that are in mind here. So the first is like for those that don't have 4K television, HDR like graphics, they don't have access to that right now. Like, sure, get a Series S. Like that makes sense. Another great demographic for this console is those who are using it as a secondary console, like those who are primarily using the PS5, for example, and want to use the Series S specifically for Game Pass. Like that, this is a great option for that for only $300. And another demographic that I think this is great for are those who stream. For me, I got both the Series X and the Series S. I have another person in my household who likes to play Xbox from time to time. So knowing that, I can have my Xbox Series X in the bedroom, and then I can have the Series S out here in my desk area. And then depending on whether I'm in the bedroom or here and they want to play the Xbox, they have an Xbox to have access to. And that also really helps when it comes to the expansion card. You know, if I have a game that I was playing out on the S and I want to move it to the X, instead of having them installed on both hard drives, I have it installed on my expansion card. I unplug it, I plug it into my other console, and it's good to go. It's very, very handy that way. I think that all three of those demographics are really good for this console, but I will say that if you are one of those people that don't have a 4K or HDR TV, monitor, whatever it may be, but you are like really stingy about your memory, then at that point, unless you're adamant about having the Series S, at that point I would get a Series X, because you're paying $220 for this, and at that point you just want a Series X so that when you eventually have access to 4K HDR, you don't have to upgrade, you don't have to trade in your Series S, or you don't have to spend another $500 on the Series X. You can just have the Series X and then you're good to go. That's what I would honestly recommend. Yeah, you won't get like 1 terabyte and on top of the additional 364. You'd only have the 1 terabyte with the Series X, but at the very least you'll get more memory and you'll already be upgraded once you get to that 4K TV experience. So these are like all my thoughts on the Xbox Series S. Again, I think it's a really great console, especially for its price tag. I think it's going to sell really, really well for like kids and like family households for sure. And just remember that this is a digital only console. So, you know, if you have any physical copies of Xbox games, like this will not be able to play those. But again, I think it's a great system for those that are looking forward, despite, you know, some cons. But like, again, for that $300 price tag, Microsoft, Xbox is really trying to make next gen affordable, and I think that's really commendable. And there's a lot to look forward to with next gen, especially with Xbox Game Pass. If anything, the Xbox Series S is the way to go. If you're low on money, whatever it may be, this is the way to go. So those are my thoughts on the Xbox Series S. My review should be out by the time this is out or in the coming days. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time in the next DualShockers video.